Hi, and welcome back to EB4. Nate Johnson here with today's tip of the week. This week we're going to be talking about antifreeze. I've had a lot of customers call me and ask me to get ready for the winter, and the number one question everybody has is my antifreeze, my coolant. So today we're going to talk a little bit about antifreeze. What we're going to talk about in particular is what are we looking for when we want to replace your antifreeze. Everybody knows that there's mileage intervals. Here at EB4 we recommend every 60,000 miles you replace your antifreeze. But I also want to tell you what we're looking at when we say, hey, consumer, it's time to replace your antifreeze. So here are some things, and I have some examples set up here that we look at. In these two flasks here we have set up, we have two different antifreeze mixtures. Now, we're looking at it visually, number one, but most importantly, we're going to be checking to see what the pH level is. What that's going to tell us is, at what point is this liquid going to freeze? What's the freezing point of it? And that's where we use this little tool. It's called a hydrometer tester. So what we're going to do is we're going to suck up some of the fluid here. And this is what we're going to do on your vehicle every time you come in for an oil change service, or any service for that matter. And we're going to check here. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to look and see where we're measuring as far as your freezing point on your antifreeze. Now even these two fluids look similar in color and look good. You can see this cup here, we're measuring at approximately positive 8 degrees. What that means is if this antifreeze in your car, at 8 degrees of temperature, it's going to start freezing. And that's bad, and this is why. It's not what the temperature is outside as much as it is what the temperature is going to be while you're driving. So if you're doing 50, 60 miles an hour and you have a wind chill factor, you're going to be well below 8 degrees, which means that's going to start freezing. We don't want the antifreeze in your engine block to start freezing, because then we're going to have bigger issues. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a hydrometer reading of this other antifreeze here, which is pretty similar in color. And as you can see on this one here, we are measuring negative 35 to negative 40, actually closer to negative 45. So this antifreeze is really good, because that's where we want to measure. You want to measure between negative 35 and negative 45 degrees. That's the perfect temperature for antifreeze. So if this was in your car, we would not recommend replacing your antifreeze. Even if you're at the 60,000 mile mark, we're going to check that first. We're going to tell you, no, not time to replace that. Now this car here, we have a Ford Fusion. I went in and pulled this in as a demonstration vehicle. I'm going to measure what's inside this car, and we're going to give you a good grasp on what it's reading. As you can see, it's quite different in color. Again, color is not always a good indicator of whether it needs to be replaced or not. This is your telltale of whether you need to replace it. As you can see, we're measuring negative 45, perfect condition. We would not recommend replacing antifreeze on this car. And now, you know why we recommend antifreeze and when we recommend antifreeze. So, that's this week's tip of the week. Now you know a little bit more about antifreeze, when we recommend replacing it, and why we recommend replacing it. If you have any questions, feel free to call us. Again, my name's Nate, Kurt or Ben, at 574-534-3673, or visit us at eb4.com. Thanks. Look forward to seeing you next week.